Welcome back to Trade Buzz. I'm Martin, and I'm here with Jamie. Now, Jamie, today we're going to be talking about record-keeping requirements and audit readiness. So what are the key record-keeping requirements for companies involved in global trade?
Companies are required to maintain all of their import and export documentation to support your compliance activities and your compliance decisions. And that's everything from your commercial invoices and your, packing lists and all of that accompany the shipment, but it's also everything else related to that. How did you make your classification determination? How did you make your license review? How did you, come to, a decision on restricted party screening? All of those things need to be maintained. General rule of thumb, government usually is, most of the record keeping requirements are 5 years. Some of them are 7 years. And in certain instances, it could be longer than that, particularly if you're possibly in like for instance, in the middle of a case with the Court of International Trade, your documentation has to be kept for the entire time of that suit. Wow. If you're, if you're classifying and the goods go beyond that 5 years and you're still using that same classification, you may need to keep that classification determination forever. So the record keeping rules do kind of vary depending on what document you're talking about. But as a general rule, 5 years.
Okay. Where do you think companies most commonly run into issues with that record keeping?
Well, they get scattered. So you have a little bit here, you have a little bit there, you got a little bit over here. Different parties are maintaining those documents. So if the event that customs comes in or an export authority comes in and wants to review it, trying to wrangle all of those documents becomes a really big problem. And so that becomes, I think, the biggest issue. The other one is that companies rely too heavily on their partners. So, my broker keeps my documents or my forwarder keeps my documents, and they don't maintain their own documents. And so I think those are the two biggest hitters that companies run problem with.
Okay. So what would a strong record keeping and audit readiness look like?
Well, again, I go back to policies, procedures, documented, right? Making sure that from the very beginning, you've already established what are your record keeping requirements. Everybody's aware of them. It's documented. Everyone knows where to go, and that you have some sort of central repository for storing all those documents, or at least have a log that shows this is where all of those documents are so you can find them easily. Best case scenario is some sort of a record keeping solution. There are plenty of tools out there. Right now, documents used to be a lot of paper. Now everything seems to be electronic, right? So being able to maintain those in a good electronic location and organizing them. Best case scenario is a global trade management tool where you're doing your operational import, export, and compliance activities within that tool, and all the documentation gets attached to either the product or to the individual or to the transaction. That's the best in class, but even just doing it separately using an Excel sheet to log it is a good way to at least get started.
Fantastic. Thank you for your expertise on this. And thank you for joining us for another episode of Trade Buzz.
Thank you, and stay vigilant.